Hopefully that's a blessing. And these are not plugged in.
Good eye.
Actually, or is that one on that side? Oh, just here. There.
Isn't it?
Nice. Yeah. Okay.
So this one's
Huh,
only
they don't match.
2.
Okay.
Well, I guess like, because I know this one's like, you said this
One.
like a good pair.
Double
Or is it?
DTM. And 3. 1.
Oh.
And
I see it's like up like in
Yes,
there.
all those match, right?
Nice. And we've got B, B, B. Okay. You
Okay.
didn't mess that up first. Okay, good. And I bet this is also messed.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's not.
What?
Oh, he was too nice to us over here. He didn't mess with the settings. Okay. I guess we can check them twice. Yep.
Ah.
Oh, psych. He did. Consider like some, if it's this one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's trippy. They both have the same name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Haha.
Ew. So then that would have caused a problem for this. Okay.
Do we have to do the streaming thing too, or?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Do you want us to check the teacher?
Try and test it on Echo real quick.
Oh,
to see if you got
Oh yeah, this was what I'm
Echo.
gonna show you.
Oh.
Okay, if you search Echo, it's like a little sound test. So then, do you just call them?
Yeah, and just make sure you. One thing I would do, I didn't show you this, but like make sure all the mics are working, is I kind of have like all 3 next to me,
Oh, and then test.
and then like yeah, and then when it says like give you the beep, just go hello, hello.
Oh,
For
smart.
all 3 at the same time?
No. So like I separate them. Like
It's like
I
this.
talk into one at a time.
But you just have them all close to you.
And
Gotcha.
And you just grab it, talk to it, hello.
Hello, welcome to Skype call testing service. After the beep, please record a message. Afterwards, your message will be played back to you.
Hello, hello.
Next one.
Hello, hello. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Boom.
Wow.
Beauty,
Try
beauty.
it with that.
Okay.
So one thing that you can do is you grab like all 3, and then when you test it, just talk
Yeah,
about like,
this little echo guy is just a nice
Echo.
way to make sure that it actually is going.
Oh, nice.
Forgot about that.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Wow. Good job. Thank you for doing that.
Thanks for helping me out. Do we need to test the teacher computer as well?
Yeah, you can double check that one too. So just make sure that you're streaming.
That is I, correct?
Yeah.
Then
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and
I'll work it.
And do you want us to go on this?
And then yeah, stream it real quick.
Yes.
Okay. First order of business. Okay. And then log into H and G. Yes, sir. Another
num walk is off. Come on now. Oh man.
Hello.
Wow, beautiful. Blessing. Are you streaming?
You stream.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
are. Look
let's-
at that. And boom, you want to get the volume going. And then
It was
ease
fun.
it.
Add
all that
into
into
G.
Oh wait, this is you were in H. Yeah.
But the mics are inside.
H. H. D. Okay. Oh, it's loading. I'm so impatient. Dashboard live.
Amazing.
H. This is what I was going for. Oh, not all.
Nice.
Right. Oh man. H. Let's do H first. Where's H? Right there.
Okay.
Wow.
So I put this in your sheets real quick. So Nate.
Yep.
Come here real quick. You didn't even listen to me in the FTC. Okay. So I'll show you so the main issues you'll have come with the audio. I don't think I've ever had issues with the webcam.
Okay.
That seems to be working fine all the time, which is very nice. I think the main issues come when people shut this down, and you can shut it down, it'll be fine, but when they shut it down, the computer freaks out because it can't find it, and so it switches the default to a different one. And then so that might be a thing you run into if it's the missionaries are trying to the person they're the volunteers on the screen, they just can't hear them and everything. What I usually do, I just come over here, and for a quick fix, I switch this to the voice meter thing. So you just click on that, and then it should work fine. So another issue you will run into is we call it robot voice. That's mainly when the volunteers singing, it's on the mic and you hear and everything. All you have to do, the way that we kind of find that fixes it, is if you just go up here to menu, and you just hit it's auto restart. Let's restart. I hit that a couple times, and it usually
There were
fixes it.
2 different ones.
Yeah, I think just hit restart.
The top one.
Oh, okay.
Just hit restart right there. Yeah. So yeah, that's just mainly if you're getting the robot staticky voice. So if it's still doing it, then end the call, restart it real quick, and then call them back, and you fix it. And this is basically the same similar setup on Facebook as well. You just go to settings, go to audio, and make sure it's all the same thing.
And when would you change it to the voice input again?
That's just if you need a quick fix,
Oh,
right there. Everything should be set up as a default because I think there's a lot of things that run with the default. But it's hey, I can't hear them. I would come in real quick and then just switch that to this one, and it should be working fine.
Just have a quick fix. Got it.
So that's kind of what I've come to figure out is a good quick deal. Missionaries are in here, you really just want to get them teaching. Then you can do that real quick. And then when they leave, you can try to fix it all. Make sure it's all
our lesson's supposed to be 25 minutes.
20 to 30 minutes. Their goal is 30 minutes, but sometimes they do more time.
Oh,
They're we don't know how we're going to fill 30 minutes. Trust me.
30 minutes later. Oh, you still haven't started teaching. You just told me.
No. I mean, it's Albanians. You get Albanians talking. It's just
Yep.
They won't stop. And so, you see missionaries. There's I think it was. I want to say it was Mandarin. I forget which language it was. But there's some missionaries right here, and the volunteers just speaking and speaking.
Oh yeah, that could be me.
And speaking. And the missionaries were just
They can't understand anything that he's
No, it was like right there, and they sat there for like 20 minutes, just like, didn't say a word. And finally, like the teacher like came over with like a piece of paper and said, "Teach something." So, like that. Yeah. But that's pretty much it with like the computer stuff. Okay. Do y'all feel? I mean, there's gonna be obviously getting into
In the
practice
moment, panics.
kind of thing, but that's generally the thing. Okay. So if missionaries, I can't hear them, this is what I do. I come in, they're on Skype. I click this. I go to settings. I go to audio and video to see if things are working like this. Set default. It's not. I'm like, okay, let me go to the control panel real quick. Make sure that these are set to default. And I said okay. And if like for some reason it's still not working and you're just like, I don't know what to do, so you just click here and switch this to the voice meter thing real quick. But sounds simple enough. Alrighty. Then that's pretty much it for the online trainer portion of things. But like I said, also if you're the recruiter and there's a ton of missionaries in here, make sure you're helping out the trainer, because if you have like 3 or 4 companionships raising a hand, like I said, I can't hear them, and like that. The trainers were running around like trying to figure out stuff on a different computer, and you're trying to make sure like I can't figure it out. Another quick thing to do is like I can't figure it out. I don't know what's going on. Then you can always like log into like a backup computer just in case, and that way you can just switch the missionaries to a different computer. And I've done that quite a bit, so that's the thing you have to do. That's the thing you have to do.
You just can't figure it out. Just move.
Yeah, you're just like it looks like it should be working fine, and if it doesn't work, then just keep it to the computer. So as far as recruiting goes, okay, I think I put a whole page just on recruiting, because recruiting can be like the most stressful, I feel like, part of this job. It'll make you feel like you're back in the mission again, just because you have, like let's say, okay, I have 4 companionships coming, I have 4 volunteers set up, they all said they would do it, I have 2 or 3 backups, they said they're good to go if somebody doesn't answer, you show up, one of those volunteer answers, you're not hearing anything else from anybody, and you're just like, what the heck? And then you call the backups aren't picking up, you're like, I don't know what to do. I have 3 companionships who don't have somebody to teach. You're like running around, you're just like, just trying to find people, and then sure enough, let's say after this is the funny part, like after it, like someone messaged you back, I'm ready to go. I need you an hour ago, kind of thing, and so stuff. But the goal of recruiting, okay, the gold standard is getting people in the mission fields that the missionaries are going to, okay. That's the standard, okay. If not, at least the country they're going to, okay. I always say work outside, then work your way back in, and the last being people here in Provo. Okay, but you start with people outside in the countries that they're going to, work your way back. Okay, are there people, maybe in different countries that speak their language, or are there people outside of Utah that speak their language? For example, Hmong. I always remember Hmong because apparently there are a ton of people who speak Hmong in Minnesota. Okay, random thing, but they're all native Hmong speakers. They live in Minnesota, kind of thing.
Wow.
So, but yeah, you work right back in, and then I find that there's like a huge list of like the senior couples use for email list, and I can see if it's still working. I don't know if TRC Manager is still working. I don't know what's working anymore these days, but if that's still working, I can show you how to get an email list real quick of everybody who's like volunteer that's outside of Provo, but all those who are local. Local, I mean, you can definitely get. I've always had people who can do it. It's just a pain because you end up sending 60 emails, then you get like 40 responses saying, "Yeah, I can do it," when you only need like 2 people, and then you're saying yes to the first 2, but the other people, sorry. Okay, but that's the idea. Okay, is just work out and then work your way back in. Okay, Be creative with it. Okay, like I said, people will sometimes go on Facebook and they'll find random, mission pages of, just like, hey, I work at the, and you just go in there and say, hey, I work at the MTC with the TRC department. We're looking for volunteers for online TRC. Is there anybody here that is native speaker that would like to help, or somebody who's outside of Utah that would like to help? Kind of thing. You could do that. I've talked to like volunteers that help. I'm like, hey, do you have any friends or family that would like to help? And they're more than willing to help. Yeah, I got a few friends that would like to help, kind of thing. You probably, I know there was with Rob, there were some questions about this, but setting up, like, we kind of go back to setting up Facebook group pages because you are representing the MTC. And so that's a big thing to remember. So probably just like work with Henry about that. Like, just making sure if you're going to set up a page, then it looks professional. It represents everything well. I think there's one for TRC Spanish, and it does a pretty good job. So, but yeah, you can even do stuff like that, creating like even like Facebook group messages with the teachers. I did that with German. It helped out a lot. So German teachers can just add people to that group message whenever they have some people. So you can always kind of build that pool. So, like I said, as long as you just remember you represent the MTC and the church when talking to people. Be creative. Just go out there. And as long as you find people, you find people. Okay. Another way that people do it is like we have a whole list of volunteers who helped in the past with Japanese right here. And let's say I can go through and I can send messages out on Skype. That's one way that you can send messages out is through Skype. The biggest problem with that is, how often do you check your own Skype? Like, people don't check their Skype. And so there are some languages, Russian and kind of German. Like, there are some people that do have like their Skype on their phone ready to go. Like they know that that's how they feel like we contact only, and so they're ready to go that way. And so you can send messages out, but I wouldn't be very reliant on this. Like, kind of one of those a week out or so, send messages out, and then just kind of see who trickles in as things come out. So, I would say just also like use the teachers. If you're just like, I have no idea who speaks Mongolian. Teachers know who speak Mongolian. Okay, reach out to them. They always have great contacts, and they can actually get you set up with people. Like I said, you can say, hey, here's my Facebook. Can we make a group message? And can you just like add people to it and just explain to them real quick who I am and what the purpose of this is. And so reach out to teachers, use them as a resource. They can also be a great resource if like things kind of go hairy and you're just like, hey, I had all these volunteers set up, everybody fell through at the last minute. Do you have a friend or somebody that could talk right now? And they're like, yeah, we can do it through Facebook. You can log into their Facebook real quick and they can talk that way. So yeah, you can be very, very creative with it. Use all the resources. Even use like, if you know somebody here that's like, okay, did you work this shift before? Who did you usually use? So, teamwork. On the Slack channel, there's a channel for like recruiting help. You can put out there and just say like, hey, I need help with this. Does anybody have any tips or know anybody that would be able to help out with this? So, yeah, resources all around you. Just use everything and even create some new resources, like all that good stuff. So, be good. Any questions about that?
Sounds a lot.
Yeah.
Not right now.
Yeah, I would just say overall, like whether it's the trainer, whether it's the recruiter, the whole goal is the missionaries. Okay, making sure the whole goal for them is they show up, they have a lesson, and then they leave. Whatever goes on behind the scenes behind that, you're just taking care of to make sure that they don't have to deal with any of that. Like, they show up, they have a lesson, and then they leave as smooth as possible. As long as that happens, you did your job. Like,
Can we try to find people on Skype on Facebook since it's easier for people to respond on Facebook?
yeah, no, for sure. Like if you get someone to respond like on Skype and they say, hi, hey, sorry, I don't really check my Skype that often. I just saw your message. You can be like, oh, sweet. Do you have a Facebook that we can talk or something like that? Or you can download WhatsApp and you can just start texting them on WhatsApp. Kind of thing. So So
What are the other messaging apps that are used around the world?
you find Facebook Messenger is probably the biggest one that everybody tends to have and use and is pretty comfortable with, and WhatsApp. Yeah, those two are pretty much the same. But
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
those are the two main ones that I use. I don't know how effective it would be, but it's something that we can look into as well as Zoom. There are people who apparently use Zoom. Like, do you know Anita? And yeah, she was messaging me. She was like, "Hey, do you want to come up with a seminary class? We can use Zoom." I'm like, "Y'all know what Zoom is? Well, I guess it's a thing." So I don't know how effective that would be at all. So, I mean, that'd be more something like, I guess, like Henry and everybody else can kind of look into, see if it'd be a viable thing. But anyway, I'd say yeah, Facebook and WhatsApp. Yep.
Cool.
Any questions besides that?
Like I said, not yet.
Yeah, no, there'll be a lot of stuff. But you saw like a simple shift yesterday with Ashlyn. How'd that go?
Like they all kind of like canceled at the last minute, or like weren't responding or anything at all. So that was a little bit crazy. But at the end, we like the teachers helped us find people. So and someone else finally responded after like 30 minutes.
That Portuguese.
But yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I do have things, yeah. Would you recommend like having I know this like sounds bad, but like you get all of your good sources like from the country and then you almost do like okay, I know you live in Provo, so I know that like those kind of backups who are locals from the teachers like a week in advance? Could you do something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, totally. You can.
Instead of like freaking out last minute and just be like, who do you know? Like contact that teacher in advance and be like, who do you know?
Yeah,
Is
no.
that okay to do?
No, yeah, totally. Like I said, be creative. Like it's I guess totally up to y'all. And like it's just like sometimes like you'll have situations like that where you're just like, hey, I'm looking for people. Do you have anybody just in case? Like I have enough people, but do you have anybody just in case? Anything like that, and you'll show up, and then you'll have situations where, like you're calling them, no one's answering. The teachers are like, yeah, let me call them real quick. Yeah, they're not picking up either, that kind of thing. And so you're still in stuff like that. So, but that's totally an option. Like,
Okay. Could you call them before the missionaries get there?
Yeah.
Okay, so you do that.
I've done that before. It's just kind of difficult sometimes when I don't speak their language. It's just like
Gotcha.
I'm like they call and they're like I've had some people say, hey, I don't know if my Skype works. Can you call me before the missionaries get there? I do that. And all I say is hello, and they say hello, and then
Give him a thumbs up.
give them a thumbs up and hang up.
Nice.
So, but yeah, like I said, there's not really like rules against what to do as long as you just remember as long as you remember you represent the FTC in the church, and you have the missionaries first. Okay. Let's say that I've dealt with this too. It's like, okay, let's say you have a difficult language to find volunteers for, and you have a volunteer who's pretty steady and consistent, but then the teachers come up to you and they say, hey, they're speaking English a lot, they're dominating lessons, they're not letting the missionaries teach. You tell them, hey, teachers came up to me, they brought up these concerns, make sure that you're only speaking the mission language and you're letting the missionaries teach you a lesson. Okay. It's usually a one-time deal that they kind of listen. But let's say that person continues on, they don't really listen to you. The teacher comes back, hey, that same volunteer is messing up. Can we start using somebody else? Remember that, yes, you're like in your heart, you're like, it's so difficult to find people and so have somebody. Just remember that the missionaries come first. Okay, you tell them, hey, I'm sorry, but we asked you to keep these rules, but you're not keeping them. We're going to find different volunteers unless you want to start abiding by these rules, kind of thing. Just remember, you always have the missionaries first. Those are fun conversations to have. Usually, people are pretty chill the first time you tell them. Like, if you see it and like you nip it in the butt the first time, then they're like, "All right, we'll do it." But
For online volunteers, do they have like a document that they read or a little initiation thing that they do with you? It's like, hey, here's the rules. Or not really.
not really. It's just, like there is like some like we have some like the basic things, but So let's say you get a new volunteer, okay, and they're like, okay, what exactly am I doing? What I usually tell them is, okay, just be yourself. Stay in the, if they speak English, it's just like stay in the mission language. But you can imagine it like the missionaries are coming to visit you at home to teach you a lesson. And usually when you say that, they're like, oh, okay, seems pretty straightforward. It's not too crazy. Sometimes I've had volunteers think that, I don't wonder if it's like translation things, but they just like think when they see like a lesson, oh, I'm teaching the missionaries how to speak this language kind of thing. And you go back at them and you're like, hey, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't think we understood like what the purpose, and you can even like do that whole thing. Like the missionaries will teach you a lesson and they still like, oh, I'm teaching them a lesson. Okay. You feel like you explained everything right. You just have to go back and say, hey, I'm so sorry. I don't think you understood correctly, or I didn't just explain things correctly. Let me clarify again. The missionaries will give you a lesson.
Could you possibly like, when you're sending and like finding your volunteers, could you send them a little like I don't know, packaged message that says like, hey, this is like these are the rules of TRC. Like, just want to review them with you.
Yeah, no, we have those.
Okay.
The only issue is like it's kind of long, and when you try to translate long messages, especially with like Google Translate, things just go out of hand. You just have to.
Gotcha.
Right, but actually, let me double check something real quick. So I think we have that orientation. Index. Oh, it looks like 11 until 12:15. Okay. Sounds good. It's not for a while. It's like nothing going on this morning. Alright. So yeah, looks like that's what I'm taking over. Also, I'm doing the in-person shift today at 1:30 with the Spencers. So if anybody wants to observe that, you're more than welcome to.
Can I come for just like an hour at the nighttime? Is that an in-person one?
Yeah, this is an in-person one with Autumn. Yeah.
It starts at 6. Or is it?
So the missionaries start the lessons at 6:15.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I guess I can just give you the breakdown as far as these go. Afternoon lessons, okay, the missionaries lessons start at 1:30.
Okay.
And they can be set up at every hour from 1:30, 2:30, 3:30. Okay. Evening lessons, the lessons start at 6:15. So it goes 6:15, 7:15, 8:15. Okay. And so if you get like I said, in-person shift in the evening, missionaries are coming at 6:15, plan on being there about 6.
Okay.
Depending on the missionaries. You have an in-person shift, 1:30, plan on being there 1:15. That ballpark range. Cool. I thought this was like at 11, but I guess it's not until. So if anybody wants to come to that.
Is it just like a column? Is
Oh.
it or?
That's the one that I wasn't gonna make. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought it was at 11, but
Okay. So
Is it
I'll be
new?
able to come.
yeah, it's at 12:15. So
And then you have a shift at 1.
yeah, so I'll just be there and I'll just be at the desk and stuff. But
Okay. Cool.
so that's still a little while. I wonder how many computers are available up there. I guess we can just head back to T3 and we can see if you guys got logins for all the good stuff.
I'm gonna need to peace out
Yeah.
on my meeting, but